she had been, it was so much shade. She had another dude who she was dealing with about this kid, Tanaris. If this so much as my son, she have not let me see. I don't even know the kid. I had got in contact with Miss Simpson through phone. If it was so much as my son, why haven't you brought the kid around?
Nobody made enough of an effort to get a DNA test, but that's why you're here today. So take me back.
All right.
This relationship.
She moved me into her home where she was staying there with her other two kids. And she told me that it was the dude that was paying her phone bill.
No. It was the truth. I remember.
That man told me that you was his lady.
She was his lady?
Yes.
And then what did you say? How does this translate as it moves forward and you find out she's pregnant?
Yeah.
Okay, and then after that, she said it came out to find out that she was pregnant.
There are moments when the truth becomes unavoidable. Moments when the past, the secrets, the doubts and fears all collide in one room, under one authority, and there is no place left to hide. For many people, a DNA test seems like a path to certainty, to clarity, to peace. But in reality, DNA tests often reveal truths that completely rearrange lives. The truth changes everything. And once the truth is spoken in front of Judge Lauren Lake, there is no going back. This is not just about science. This is about identity, responsibility, trust, betrayal, and the deep emotional question. What does it mean to be a parent? This courtroom setting reflects something larger than just a personal conflict. It reflects the ongoing struggle between law and justice, the theme discussed often in the Game-Changing Attorney podcast, where legal truth does not always heal emotional wounds, and the relationship between law and justice is tested in the most intimate matters. In this case, the courtroom is filled with tension even before the results are discussed. The parties have come forward not merely to argue about money or legal responsibility, but to address years of emotional distance, uncertainty, and unanswered questions. The man has petitioned for clarity. The woman has counted for accountability. And now both stand face to face, with every word under the authority of Judge Lauren Lake, the respected voice in paternity court. Both individuals describe their experiences differently. He believes he was misled about the child's paternity. She believes she tried, and that he did not step up when needed. The conflicting stories have grown over time, shaped by memory, by frustration, and sometimes by fear of rejection. Their words show how the truth can become blurred by pain. This is where the concept discussed in Truth Changes Everything podcast becomes real. Truth is not just evidence. Truth is a turning point. The DNA test is the centerpiece of the case, the decisive factor that can validate one person's perspective while challenging another's. In the broader social landscape, DNA test people regret taking has become a common theme, because scientific results can expose hidden histories, infidelities, and unresolved secrets. Exactly what is happening here. The child at the center of this case is not in the courtroom to understand what has happened, but the entire proceeding has a direct impact on that child's emotional, financial, and relational future. The courtroom becomes a stage where past choices are examined and future realities are shaped. Judge Lauren Lake, known for blending compassion with firmness, ensures both parties speak honestly. Her courtroom approach reflects the concept of justice in jurisprudence, where fairness is sought through the combination of evidence, accountability, and human understanding. The woman brings forward her evidence in the form of child-rearing expenses, documented and presented to the court as part of her counterclaim. Her argument is clear. She has borne the financial and emotional responsibility of raising the child, and she believes the father must contribute. She claims a specific amount, calculated based on expenses like food, diapers, and daily care, and asks for reimbursement now that the matter is being formally judged. The man argues that his hesitation came from early inconsistencies and possible deception, referencing conversations and situations that led him to believe someone else may have been involved. He states that the lack of clarity led him to question both the woman and the situation itself. This is where the legal doctrine Adverse Inference in Evidence Act is silently present. When a party avoids or delays providing clarity, it raises doubt. Judge Lauren Lake listens carefully. because the emotional layers of the relationship are intertwined with the legal claims. The case demonstrates how the evidence stage in divorce case-style disputes often involves not only documents, but also testimony about behavior, intentions, and circumstances. The emotional weight of this situation resembles many DNA test cheating stories, where assumptions and promises dissolved into suspicion and distance. What began as a relationship shifted into tension when another individual was acknowledged to have possibly been involved. This element mirrors conversations that appear in the Divorce Course podcast, where relationships break down not just because of single actions, but because emotional trust erodes gradually over time. Still, the courtroom is not just a place of confrontation, it is also a place of possible recovery. Stories shared in Celebrate Recovery testimonies often describe the moment someone finally accepted truth and chose to rebuild, even if rebuilding required starting from the hardest point. The man expresses that he has wanted to be part of the child's life, that he does not want to be absent, that he wants an authentic relationship if he is confirmed to be the biological father. His words reflect a desire to repair and reconnect, even if the path has been delayed and complicated. On the other hand, the woman explains that she needed support and stability. She emphasizes that every child deserves a father, emotionally and financially. Her frustration is rooted in feeling alone in raising a child she believes he should have shared responsibility for. The court recognizes that emotional narratives are compelling, but legal conclusions must rely on evidence. This is where Judge Lauren Lake turns toward the DNA results. In many situations, such results are life-changing, determining legal child support obligations, family identity, and even potential adoption stories, full episodes outcomes where parental roles shift. In Supreme Court child support cases, biological verification is foundational because support can only be imposed on a confirmed legal parent. And that is exactly what is happening here. The courtroom waits for confirmation to determine legal responsibility. As the results approach, both parents express their deepest fears, hopes, and regrets. They reveal how distance did not remove emotional attachment, how doubt did not fully erase love, and how the absence of clarity allowed resentment to grow. This is the moment where the courtroom holds its breath. Because once the DNA results are spoken aloud, identity is sealed, responsibility is defined, and the future begins. After the initial tension begins to settle, the courtroom atmosphere shifts into a reflective emotional state. Everyone present understands that they are not simply discussing money, nor only debating a disagreement from the past. Instead, they are confronting responsibility, identity, truth, and the permanence of parental connection. Judge Lauren Lake, with her practiced understanding of how family conflict and law intersect, reminds the courtroom, directly and indirectly, that these cases are never just legal disputes. They are deeply human stories, where each person brings their wounds, their expectations, and their hopes. The man stands in the courtroom with a mixture of anxiety and resolve. He believes that he tried, in his own way, to be involved, but that circumstances and confusion limited his participation. He references the uncertainty that clouded the relationship early on. There were communications, misunderstandings, and the involvement of another man during the relationship timeline, which raised questions that he struggled to ignore. His hesitation, from his perspective, was not abandonment, but fear of being misled or deceived. He expresses that he wanted to bond with the child, but he needed confirmation first, because emotional attachment is powerful and cannot be taken lightly. Meanwhile, the woman explains that from her standpoint, she carried the responsibility alone. She references the everyday realities of parenting, feeding the child, comforting the child, managing financial needs, covering all the unseen emotional labor that comes with raising a young life. Her voice reflects not just frustration, but exhaustion. When she presents the evidence of her expenses, she is not merely requesting repayment. She is demonstrating that she has actively fulfilled both parental roles. This action aligns with the core principle explored often in discussions on the Truth Changes Everything podcast. When truth remains hidden or avoided, one person often carries the weight alone. The tension between law and justice becomes clearer here. Legally, the question of paternity is central. Without biological confirmation, responsibility cannot be assigned. But emotionally, both parents feel that decisions made in the past were justified by what they knew at the time. These emotional beliefs clash with jurisprudence, where legal recognition does not always match lived experience. This contrast mirrors themes often examined in the Game-Changing Attorney podcast, where legal outcomes can realign family dynamics in unexpected ways. Judge Lauren Lake carefully acknowledges both perspectives. She is known for balancing empathy with accountability. She recognizes that the truth, once revealed, may validate one narrative while challenging another. Yet she also emphasizes that the child's future matters more than past conflict. Her approach reflects a deeper understanding of the relationship between law and justice, where fairness is not only about evidence, but also about emotional healing and mutual responsibility. As the conversation continues, discussions of the DNA test become more pointed. Both parties are aware that scientific evidence carries irrefutable weight. Many people believe the DNA test is simply about confirming biological truth, but in reality, the test challenges identity, memory, trust, and sometimes self-worth. Stories circulate widely about DNA test people regret taking, not because the science is wrong, but because the truth disrupts the stability of the life they built on assumptions. The courtroom environment amplifies these emotional stakes. The man wonders whether he will leave the room with the role of father affirmed or denied. The woman wonders whether her years of single parenting will finally be validated. The child, though absent from the courtroom, remains central to every decision. The possibility of establishing or rebuilding a father-child bond stands at the heart of the case. The mother insists that the child deserves consistency, not just financial support. She is not only asking for the father to acknowledge responsibility, but to demonstrate presence. Her stance echoes the emotional lessons often described in Celebrate Recovery testimonies, where healing is not simply about knowing the truth, but learning to live in it, grow with it, and repair what has been damaged. In contrast, the man states that he always wanted clarity before committing fully. His fear of being misled or replaced prevented him from forming emotional attachment earlier. His reasoning reflects the broader theme found in many DNA test cheating stories, where relationships become fragile under the pressure of doubt. He acknowledges that his hesitation may have contributed to distance, but he insists that uncertainty shaped his emotional reaction, not lack of interest. He expresses readiness to step into the role of a father if the DNA confirms his biological connection. Judge Lauren Lake does not dismiss these explanations lightly. Her approach is grounded in understanding the emotional layers and legal implications simultaneously. The court recognizes that both of these individuals experience this situation with limited clarity and heightened emotional stakes. And now, standing in front of the judge, both must confront reality without defensiveness. The child support matter will only be finalized after the biological truth is confirmed. This reflects the legal principle enforced even in Supreme Court child support cases. Responsibility cannot be mandated without biological or adoptive proof. The woman's financial records, detailed and carefully prepared, serve as evidence of her consistent contribution. Her request for reimbursement covers practical needs, essential care, and emotional labor. The court acknowledges that raising a child requires constant financial, mental, and physical effort. This situation also touches on themes seen in adoption stories' full episodes, where biological parenthood does not always determine emotional parenting roles. If the man is confirmed to be the biological father, his legal and emotional role is activated automatically. If he is not, then the legal identity of the child's father may shift entirely. These outcomes highlight how identity can be defined by law, by love, or by biology, depending on circumstances. Before the results are revealed, Both individuals speak directly about the future. The woman states that she is willing to cooperate fully in co-parenting if the biological truth confirms the man's role. She expresses that the child deserves a father not only in name, but in presence, attention, and emotional support. Her words reflect strength, not blame. She acknowledges her own mistakes and misjudgments along the way, emphasizing that her priority is not personal conflict, but the child's stability. The man responds by declaring his intention to be present, supportive, and engaged if the child is confirmed to be his. He does not want to continue living in uncertainty. He expresses a desire to start fresh, to rebuild trust, and to establish a bond with the child. He recognizes that he cannot undo the years of absence, but he believes that time and effort can build something meaningful moving forward. In this moment, the courtroom is heavy with anticipation. Both sides have revealed their inner emotions, fears, and regrets. The atmosphere is sincere, quiet, and reflective. Judge Lauren Lake understands the gravity of what comes next. The result will not just determine legal responsibility, it will determine emotional direction and identity for all involved. And then, the moment of truth arrives. As the DNA envelope is brought forward, the courtroom grows still. The anticipation is not loud or dramatic, but quiet and heavy. The kind of silence where everyone waits for something irreversible. Judge Lauren Lake holds the document not only as a piece of legal evidence, but as the defining turning point in the lives of those standing in front of her. She understands what these moments mean. She has seen how one sentence can repair a family, divide one, or force people to confront truths they spent years avoiding. What makes this moment intense is that both individuals already know the emotional outcomes they are prepared for, yet neither knows the truth. The man stands with uncertainty but hope. The woman stands with confidence but vulnerability. For her, the DNA test feels like a validation of the years she raised the child. For him, the DNA test feels like release from doubt. And finally, the possibility of stepping into the role he has been unsure about. The DNA test is not simply medical science here. It is identity, belonging, commitment, and closure. Judge Lake reads the results with clarity and calm, ensuring that the truth is spoken without unnecessary personal harm. When the results confirm that the man is the biological father, both individuals react in ways that demonstrate the emotional weight of the moment. The man's relief is immediate and visible. His doubts, which shaped years of distance and hesitation, disappear in the face of scientific certainty. The woman responds with a mixture of vindication and softness, recognizing that the truth now allows both of them to move forward. This is where the idea discussed in Truth changes everything. Podcast becomes real. Truth does not only clarify what happened in the past, it creates the structure for the future. The truth does not change what was lost, but it changes what can now be rebuilt. Judge Lauren Lake emphasizes that the result is not an end, but a beginning. She reminds the man that fatherhood is not just a biological title, but a consistent commitment. She reminds the woman that cooperation and communication will be necessary going forward. She does not lecture with harshness. Instead, she guides with a purposeful calm that reflects both legal authority and emotional understanding. She acknowledges the years of frustration while also redirecting the focus toward the child's future. Her approach reflects the ongoing conversation in the relationship between law and justice. The law provided the result, but justice demands action, responsibility, and emotional accountability. The ruling on child support follows naturally. Because biological paternity is now confirmed, the man is legally responsible. The court reviews the financial documentation the woman submitted. The expenses for food, clothing, medical needs, and other daily essentials are acknowledged. The amount she requested is accepted based on the evidence, though previously received payments are deducted. The amount granted is not framed as punishment, but as recognition of shared responsibility. This aligns with the principles used even in Supreme Court child support cases, where the focus is not on past conflict, but future welfare. What makes this judgment meaningful is how the emotional and legal aspects now intersect. The man agrees that supporting the child financially is not where his role ends. He expresses a desire to build a relationship with the child, one that includes presence, communication, and emotional involvement. The woman agrees that she wants the child to know his father. Now that paternity is confirmed, there is nothing left to prevent that. The barriers created by fear, uncertainty, and mistrust have been removed. The journey ahead will not be effortless. They both know this. They both admit they made mistakes. They both accept what they could have done differently. Yet now, the situation resembles the recovery narratives shared in Celebrate Recovery testimonies, where healing comes not from forgetting what happened, but from understanding it and choosing to move forward differently. This case demonstrates that the truth once spoken allows emotional repair to begin. There is also a reflective lesson here regarding the nature of parenthood. Many DNA test cheating stories focus on betrayal and shock, but this situation shows another layer: the emotional consequences of uncertainty. When parenthood is unclear, the bond between parent and child cannot grow fully. The man now expresses regret for the years he missed, but also determination to make the future different. The woman expresses relief that the doubt has ended, but also responsibility to encourage connection going forward. Judge Lauren Lake speaks to both individuals with compassion. She acknowledges that the journey to this moment was filled with misunderstanding, miscommunication, and emotional distance. She recognizes that both of them were affected, and both were trying in their own ways to navigate difficult circumstances. But now, with the truth known, the question becomes how they will choose to act. This is where the broader concept of justice in jurisprudence becomes visible. Justice is not simply about declaring who was right or wrong. Justice is about restoring balance, rebuilding relationships, and ensuring that the child's emotional needs are prioritized above parental resentment. One of the most meaningful parts of this resolution is the potential for reconnection. The man expresses that he wants to create a routine of involvement. He wants to attend school events, provide emotional presence, be part of daily life. The woman expresses that she is willing to cooperate, to allow visitation, and to support the bond developing. This type of shared commitment mirrors the collaborative reflections often shared on the Divorce Course podcast, where the emotional well-being of the child must become the guiding principle of co-parenting. The case also highlights how family dynamics and identity can shift through truth. Many adoption stories' full episodes center around the idea that family is not simply formed by biology, but reinforced by love and participation. Now that the biological truth is known, the emotional truth has room to grow. The man and woman now understand their roles clearly. The child has the opportunity to build a relationship with their father, not based on confusion or conflict, but on truth and intention. Finally, the courtroom atmosphere softens. The tension that once filled the room begins to dissolve. There is no cheering or dramatic celebration. Instead, there is quiet acceptance. The truth has been spoken. The law has recognized what is real. Now the emotional healing can begin. Judge Lauren Lake concludes the session with encouragement and sincerity, reinforcing that this new chapter is not defined by past conflict, but by the choices they make now. This case becomes a reminder that truth changes everything, not because it erases the past, but because it allows people to finally face forward. The DNA test did not simply reveal biology. It reopened the possibility of connection, responsibility, and true parental bond. And now, the future belongs not to the mistakes that were made, but to the choices that will be made moving forward.